We're here with Brett Kingiä, the author of Banking 3.0 and the Augmented, and soon the author of Banking 4.0.
Correct, yeah, I'm working on that. Hopefully it'll be out middle of next year, but finding the time to write is always a challenge.
I can imagine. So what will the Banking 4.0 be about?
So the subtitle for the book is Ubiquitous. Mm-hmm. Actually, I forgot.
Don't worry about it.
No, I'm just joking. Really, Bank 4.0 is going to really be about the fact that banking is embedded in the world around us. Mm-hmm. It's ubiquitous, embedded, and extinct is the other piece of it, which essentially is the way that as these experiences change the way we think about banking and financial services, that the traditional mechanisms that we valued today in terms of access to products and experiences will be replaced by something new. And either incumbents will have to make a very significant shift in terms of their business, or they will be extinct. And there's we will obviously have a long tail of this. Just as today we see some bookstores have survived and there's some now independent bookstores that are making sort of a bit of a comeback, that doesn't mean that the distribution mechanism for books has survived.
Right.
I mean, it was decimated by Amazon. And the same thing's happening to financial services in terms of the distribution mechanism and access to financial services. There is literally room for maybe 10% of the world's banks today doing the same thing they've done to survive. 90% of them, if they don't change, will be gone. And so we see a number of banks sort of making that shift, making that change. And Bank 4.0 is really about, say, if you take the Elon Musk example of building rockets or building motor vehicles, he talks about going back to first principles. So Bank 4.0, the first chapter of Bank 4.0 is starting out talking about what would happen if we rebooted banking completely from scratch using first principles today? Would it look anything like it is today? And the answer to that is absolutely not.
Right. Systems level design and thinking is certainly in need for. So what do you think? Which of the banks in the world, out of the big names, are doing this right now, the transformation towards becoming a fintech? What are some of the great examples you see?
I get asked this question all the time. Who's the bank we should follow?
Right.
Who's the best bank in the world, at this? And my answer to that is, well, there is none. There's not a bank that I can point you to that's got everything right. There are some banks that have some real competencies developing in terms of digital that are making an honest approach to transformation. And likewise, there are examples of banks who will never get there. Right. Okay, but I sort of say, if you want to be a digital bank, and my pal Kristian talks about digital bank. Of course, he had the book on it, and we've discussed this many times. But I think there's a number of criteria, and the first criteria is you must have a CEO and a board that is committed absolutely to becoming a technology company. Right now. Lots of debates around that. Should you be a technology company? Should you not? But the reality is, you can still be a bank, but you have to be technology first. And every industry in the world is going this way. In 10 years' time, the biggest companies in the world will be technology first. So it doesn't matter whether you're in healthcare, you'll be health tech. If you're in farming, you'll be ag tech. If you're in manufacturing, you'll be a technology company using 3D printing. If you're in transport, you'll be using autonomous vehicles. If you're in banking, you'll be using technology. And if you aren't, you won't be a leading bank anymore. So you have to start with, how do we reinvent ourselves as a tech fin? Right.
So fundamentally what we're seeing is companies with mission and technology capabilities, but not necessarily following the industry, but the customer. There's number of technologies that are considered existential threats for banking. One of them is artificial intelligence. We just talked about the concept of intelligence. What is it, and how are you going to address it in your speech today?
So we talk about AI as three distinct levels of development. The first being machine intelligence. And right now we talk a lot about machine learning and the capability of machines to recognize patterns and copy humans or learn from human behavior. So that's machine machine intelligence that's not full artificial intelligence. So when you talk about full AI, we talk generally about the concept of artificial general intelligence. That's an AI that can mimic a human, pass the Turing test, you could have a conversation with, and not know that you're speaking to a machine. Or if you knew you were speaking to a machine, it wouldn't matter because their intelligence or cognition is there. And then the third level is hyper-intelligence or super intelligent AI, where you have a robot brain or an AI that's smarter than every human on the planet, theoretically. But we don't have to worry about that for a few decades. But we do have to worry about machines today, or algorithms today, that are better at doing the job than a human. And we see that this area is rapidly expanding, and there are areas in financial services, quite frankly, like, for example, giving investment advice, or assessing risk, or managing cybersecurity, where AIs will just be able to do a much, much better job than a human. Humans won't be able to compete for very long in these fields. We look at other broader areas, diagnosing cancer, IBM Watson, robots doing surgery, autonomous vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. There are many, many examples emerging now, and they're emerging quicker than ever before, of machine intelligences that can outperform humans. So then if you want to think about where this affects finance or fintelligence, you got to look for where are those opportunities within the bank today, or within a financial institution, where a algorithm could outperform a human. And that's wherever there's synthesis of data. Wherever you're collecting data and you're synthesizing that to produce an outcome, that's where AI is going to be deployed in finance.
One of the amazing demos at the World of Watson was Watson picking up a craft beer as a personal recommendation. Do you see room for personal finance advisory with AI and intelligence? Oh,
absolutely. I think you showed me your app this morning with some predictive analytics on your spend and things like that. If you think about advice that you're going to ask from your bank in this future AI world, so we're going to have our AI, our dominant form of artificial intelligence for each of us will be a smart assistant built into our phone, or built into our home, or into our car. And the smart assistant, you'll say, hey Siri, can I afford to go out for dinner tonight? And your phone will be able to answer it, and it'll give you an answer to that. And that's a sort of advice that we'll come to expect from this fintelligence ecosystem that we're building, not what's the right product for you, which is a sort of advice that we give today. When a customer walks in, we actually sort of obfuscate this advice that they need, how they save for retirement, how they can put their kids through college. Instead of offering them advice on how to change their life to achieve those goals, instead we say, you need this product.
Absolutely.
And so we actually don't give advice today as it is. We talk about personal advisory, and what we're actually doing is we're doing product advice today. So where algorithms AI are going to push is really create a more personalized advice structure.
Like a private banker for one. Closing in with the last question, we're off to Slush right momentarily, and it will be packed with different startups, thousands of startups coming, and plenty in fintech. What do you think? Should we incumbents be scared or excited about the number of startups in fintech?
Both. If you're not scared, then you really don't know what's going on. But you should be excited because fintechs deploy capital far more efficiently than incumbents. So if you want to do something cheaply and quickly, then a fintech partnership is the way you can do it. Let's look at one example. Blockchain right now is very hot. It makes no sense for a bank to develop their own blockchain internally because it's not extensible. You can't get the network effect, right? And so this is an example where if you want to be involved in blockchain, you are going to have to partner with a fintech. There's no way you can be constructive in the blockchain space without that. So should you be excited by that? Absolutely. Should you be scared? Well, yeah, because ultimately if blockchain works, whether it's in trade finance or whether it's in something like a replacement for SWIFT, it is going to be a really significant infrastructure change in terms of the way the financial services ecosystem works.
Excellent. Thank you, Brett Kingiä, for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me in Finland.